Today, we are embarking on a journey to the front lines of America's water crisis. We are exposing the 10 U.S. towns and cities where this disaster is not a future projection, but a present-day reality, and where it's threatening to trigger a catastrophic housing collapse. This is the story of how America's most essential resource is becoming its most profound liability. Before we begin our countdown, it's critical to understand why water is the linchpin of the entire real estate market. We think of a home's value in terms of square footage, school districts, and curb appeal. But all of that is built on the assumption of water. First, the mortgage. A bank will not lend you hundreds of thousands of dollars for an asset that could become unlivable or worthless. If a property is in a designated high-risk flood zone, lenders will require exorbitant flood insurance, making the monthly payment unaffordable. If a home is in an area facing a long-term water shortage, its future value is at risk, making it a toxic asset for a 30-year loan. Second, insurance. As we've seen in places like Florida and California, insurance companies are not charities. They are risk assessors. When the risk of flood or fire, often exacerbated by drought, becomes too high, they do one of two things. They raise premiums to astronomical levels, or they simply pull out of the market altogether. A home that cannot be insured cannot be mortgaged, effectively turning it into a cash-only and therefore deeply devalued asset. Finally, the tax base. A town's ability to provide services, schools, roads, emergency responders, depends on property taxes. When property values plummet because of a water crisis, the tax base evaporates. This leads to a doom loop. Declining services make the town less desirable, causing more people to leave, which further erodes the tax base, leading to even worse services. The water crisis doesn't just threaten individual homes. It threatens the very solvency of entire communities. Number 10. Western Kansas. We start our list not on a coast or a river, but in the vast windswept plains of Western Kansas. This is the heart of America's breadbasket, a region that helps feed the world. Its entire agricultural economy and the towns that support it are built on a single invisible resource, the Ogallala Aquifer, a massive underground reservoir that has been accumulating water for thousands of years. But we are pumping that water out far, far faster than nature can replenish it. It is a slow-motion act of depletion, a draining of a finite resource. In parts of western Kansas, the aquifer has already dropped by over 100 feet. Wells are running dry. The land is subsiding. The housing market here is tied directly to the health of the aquifer. The jobs, the economy, the very reason these towns exist, depend on irrigated agriculture. As the water disappears, the farms will fail. When the farms fail, the jobs will disappear, and the people will leave. What is the value of a home in a town with no water and no economy? This isn't a dramatic coastal flood. It's a slow, quiet, and inexorable economic unwinding. The free fall here will be a gradual emptying out, leaving behind ghost towns on a dried-up plain. Number 9. Charleston, South Carolina. At number 9, we travel to one of America's most beautiful and historic cities, Charleston, South Carolina. Known for its cobblestone streets, pastel antebellum houses, and genteel southern charm, Charleston has become a top tourist and relocation destination. But Charleston is a city living on the edge of the water, and the water is rising. It is one of the most susceptible cities on the East Coast to nuisance flooding. Dozens of times a year, with no rain in the sky, a simple high tide is enough to push salt water from the harbor into the streets, inundating the historic district, flooding cars and damaging the foundations of centuries-old buildings. This is having a direct and measurable impact on the real estate market. A 2018 study by the Union of Concerned Scientists found that Charleston stands to lose over $5 billion in property value due to tidal flooding in the coming decades. Insurance costs are climbing, and home buyers are now forced to consider a property's elevation as much as its square footage. The city is investing hundreds of millions in seawalls and pumps, but it's a race against time. The very charm of living in a low-lying, historic port city has become its greatest vulnerability. Number 8. Flint, Michigan. Our 8th entry is not a story of too much or too little water, but of water that is fundamentally broken. Flint, Michigan. The Flint water crisis became a national and international symbol of catastrophic infrastructure failure and a profound breach of public trust. In 2014, a decision to switch the city's water source to the Flint River without proper corrosion controls unleashed a torrent of lead from aging pipes into the city's drinking water. The health consequences were devastating, but the impact on the housing market was a quiet, grinding catastrophe. Who would want to buy a home in a city where you couldn't trust the water coming out of the tap? Property values plummeted. Those who could afford to leave did. Those who couldn't were left trapped in homes that were now worth a fraction of what they had paid, still needing to drink bottled water a decade after the crisis began. While the city has replaced most of its lead service lines, the psychological scar remains. The brand of Flint has been irrevocably damaged. The housing market remains one of the weakest in the nation, a stark reminder that a home's value is fundamentally tied to the public's trust in the basic services that support it. In Flint, that trust was shattered, and the housing market has never recovered. Number 7. Houston, Texas. For number 7, we visit a city that embodies the promise and peril of modern American growth. Houston, Texas. A sprawling, dynamic hub of energy and medicine, Houston has been one of the fastest-growing cities in the country for decades. But this growth has come at a cost. The city's unchecked urban sprawl has paved over millions of acres of wetlands and prairies that once acted as natural sponges for rainfall. This, combined with its low-lying position in a hurricane-prone region, has turned Houston into a flood catastrophe waiting to happen. We saw the result in 2017 with Hurricane Harvey, which dropped over 50 inches of rain, causing biblical flooding that swamped hundreds of thousands of homes, many of them far outside designated flood zones. The term 500-year storm has become a grim, recurring joke, as major flood events now seem to happen every few years. The housing market is now a game of risk roulette. Buyers are terrified of purchasing a home that might be underwater in the next storm. Insurance companies are reassessing their risk models, leading to rising premiums. Houston's story is a powerful lesson in what happens when relentless development ignores the realities of geography and climate. It's a boomtown that is discovering its foundations are built on a floodplain. Number 6, Central Valley, California, Fresno, Bakersfield. At number 6, we head to the agricultural heart of America's most populous state, California's Central Valley. This vast, fertile region produces a quarter of the nation's food. This incredible productivity is fueled by a complex and now failing system of water delivery. The Central Valley faces a double-barreled water disaster. First, its surface water, which comes from snowmelt in the Sierra Nevada mountains, is becoming increasingly unreliable due to climate change, leading to more frequent and severe droughts. Second, to make up for this shortfall, agricultural corporations have been pumping massive amounts of groundwater from underground aquifers, far faster than it can be replenished. This has led to a bizarre and terrifying consequence. The land itself is sinking. In a process called subsidence, parts of the Central Valley have sunk by as much as 30 feet, damaging roads, bridges, and the foundations of homes. The housing markets in cities like Fresno and Bakersfield are caught in the crossfire. They are some of the last affordable places in California, but their future is tied to the water. As water allocations are cut and wells run dry, the agricultural economy that underpins the region is under threat. What is the long-term value of a home in a region that is simultaneously running out of water and physically sinking into the ground? As these crises unfold, a new form of inequality is emerging: water inequality. In a world of scarcity, water flows towards money and power. In the American West, it's a story we see playing out in real time. Wealthy, master-planned communities often have senior water rights and can afford to invest in expensive technologies like water recycling and desalination, ensuring their golf courses stay green and their pools stay full. Meanwhile, smaller, often lower-income or rural communities with junior water rights are the first to have their supplies cut. Their wells run dry. Their property values are the first to collapse. This can lead to a phenomenon known as water gentrification, where hedge funds and large corporations buy up land in these distressed areas. Not for the land itself, but for the water rights that come with it, further disenfranchising the local population. Similarly, on the coast, wealthier homeowners can afford to elevate their homes and pay the astronomical insurance premiums, while working-class families in lower-lying neighborhoods are displaced by rising waters and rising costs. The water crisis is not affecting everyone equally. It is a threat multiplier that is deepening the existing divides in our society. Number 5. Cancer Alley, Louisiana, St. John the Baptist Parish. For our 5th spot, we return to the issue of contamination in a place with one of the most chilling nicknames in America, Cancer Alley. This 85-mile stretch along the Mississippi River between Baton Rouge and New Orleans is home to over 150 petrochemical plants and refineries. For decades, these plants have been releasing toxic chemicals into the air and water. The result is a public health catastrophe. Residents of parishes like St. John the Baptist have cancer risks that are 50 times the national average. The water sourced from the Mississippi River is a constant source of anxiety, with advisories and boil water notices being a regular part of life. This has had a devastating corrosive effect on the housing market. Who would knowingly move their family to a place where the air and water are making people sick? Those with the means to leave have already done so. This has led to a cycle of population decline and property value stagnation. The homes here are trapped. They are often the only asset a family has, but they are an asset that is nearly impossible to sell. It's a housing market held hostage by industrial pollution, a stark example of what happens when a community's health is sacrificed for corporate profit. Number 4. Las Vegas, Nevada. At number 4, we visit the most extravagant oasis ever built, a glittering mirage in the middle of the Mojave Desert, Las Vegas. The city's entire existence is a testament to humanity's ability to defy nature. But nature is beginning to push back. Las Vegas gets 90% of its water from a single source, the Colorado River via Lake Mead, and Lake Mead is shrinking at an alarming rate. The now famous bathtub ring around the lake shows how far the water level has dropped, a stark visual representation of a crisis decades in the making. The federal government has already declared the first ever water shortage on the Colorado River, forcing mandatory cuts to Nevada's water allocation. While Vegas has been a leader in water conservation and recycling, there is only so much it can do. The city continues to grow, adding thousands of new residents each year, all of them depending on a water source that is fundamentally overallocated and shrinking. The real estate market is in a state of cognitive dissonance. New homes are still being built, but the long-term water security is a massive, unanswered question. What happens when the federal cuts become more severe? What happens when a multi-year drought, which scientists say is increasingly likely, pushes Lake Mead to dead pool status, where it can no longer generate power or release water downstream? It is a house of cards built on a disappearing river, and the housing market is one dry year away from a potential reckoning. Number 3, New Orleans, Louisiana. Our third spot goes to a city that is a jewel of American culture, but is also in a perpetual existential fight for its very survival. New Orleans. The Big Easy is a city of magic. Its music, its food, its architecture, its spirit are unlike anywhere else on Earth. But it is also a city built in a bowl, with large portions of it sitting below sea level, protected by a complex and fragile system of levees. The memory of Hurricane Katrina in 2005 is a permanent scar, a reminder of the city's profound vulnerability. The threats are coming from all sides. The protective coastal wetlands that once served as a natural buffer against storm surge are disappearing at one of the fastest rates on the planet. The land itself is sinking, and sea levels are rising. It is a triple threat. The housing market reflects this precarious reality. Insurance costs in New Orleans are some of the highest in the nation, and for many homeowners in low-lying areas, they are becoming prohibitive. The constant threat of the next big one hangs over every real estate transaction. While the city's unique culture will always attract people, the long-term physical and financial risks are undeniable. New Orleans is a city that is slowly, inexorably, being reclaimed by the water that surrounds it. Number 2, Phoenix, Arizona. Our runner-up for a potential water-driven housing collapse is one of the fastest growing cities in America, Phoenix. For decades, Phoenix was the embodiment of the Sunbelt dream, a place where you could get a large, affordable home with a swimming pool and enjoy 300 days of sunshine a year. The city's population has exploded, transforming it into the fifth largest metropolis in the nation. But this entire sprawling oasis is built on a foundation of imported water, primarily from the rapidly shrinking Colorado River. The Central Arizona Project, a 336-mile-long aqueduct, is a modern marvel of engineering that pipes this water across the desert. But that marvel is now carrying less and less water. Arizona has already faced the most severe cuts of any state in the Colorado River Basin, and more are coming. To fuel its growth, Phoenix has also been heavily reliant on groundwater. But like the Ogallala Aquifer, these underground reserves are being depleted. In 2023, the state of Arizona made a stunning announcement. There was not enough groundwater to support the already approved new housing developments on the outskirts of the Phoenix metro. They were forced to pause all new construction in these areas. This is a watershed moment. For the first time, a major American city has officially admitted that it has promised more water than it has, and has been forced to halt the growth that is its lifeblood. The housing market is now on a collision course with geological reality. How can a city continue to grow when it has run out of water? The Phoenix boom is over, and the long, slow, painful process of reconciling a desert city's ambitions with its arid environment has just begun. Number 1, Miami, Florida, and our number 1 U.S. town facing a water disaster and a potential housing collapse is the city that embodies both the glittering dream and the dystopian nightmare of the 21st century, Miami. A global hub for finance, culture, and luxury, Miami's real estate market has been on a tear, with its skyline constantly being reshaped by a forest of new, impossibly sleek condo towers. But Miami is a city living on borrowed time, and the lender is the Atlantic Ocean. It is, by almost any scientific measure, the most vulnerable major coastal city in the world to sea level rise. The problem is not a future projection, it is a daily, lived reality. Sunny day flooding, where salt water bubbles up from the storm drains and inundates streets during a simple high tide, is now a common occurrence in Miami Beach and other low-lying neighborhoods. The city is built on a foundation of porous limestone. This means that traditional defenses like seawalls are only a partial solution. As the ocean rises, the water will simply come up from below, through the ground itself. There is no engineering solution for this. This existential threat is finally starting to penetrate the real estate market's bubble of denial. The insurance crisis here is acute, especially for older condo buildings. But the bigger threat is the long-term viability. Banks are beginning to talk about the possibility of refusing to write 30-year mortgages for properties in the most vulnerable areas. After all, will that property even be there in 30 years? Miami is the ultimate house of cards. It's a beautiful, dynamic, and electrifying city that is in a slow-motion collision with the laws of physics. The free fall here may not be a sudden crash, but a gradual, inexorable decline as the water rises and the market is forced to price in a risk that is, in the long run, absolute. The party is still going, but the tide is coming in, and it will not be stopped. Conclusion. The stories of these 10 towns are a sobering look at our future. They reveal a fundamental truth we have long ignored. Our economy, our communities, and our personal wealth are all completely dependent on a stable and predictable environment. And that environment is no longer stable. This is more than a series of isolated crises. It is a national repricing of risk. For decades, we built our dream homes in places where they should not have been, in deserts, on floodplains, and on sinking coasts, operating under the assumption that we could always engineer our way out of the problem. That assumption is now failing. The silent shift is turning into an audible crack. The water's coming, or it is leaving. And the American dream, for those caught on the wrong side of the waterline, is in danger of being washed away. Do you live in an area affected by a water crisis? How is it impacting your community and your home? We want to hear your story in the comments below. If you believe this is one of the most critical conversations of our time, please like this video, subscribe for more in-depth investigations, and share it. because understanding the value of water may be the only way to save the value of our homes.